So, let's talk about Slovenia. Yes, Slovenia. It's that beautiful little country that looks like a chicken on a map. Italy, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia. In 2004, Slovenia was feeling pretty good about itself. It had just joined NATO and the European Union. This was a huge moment for a nation that had only been independent since 1991. It was ready to step onto the world stage. And boy, did it get one. Enter the 2004 parliamentary election. The long-reigning center-left party was shown the door. In walked a new center-right coalition led by the Slovenian Democratic Party, or SDS. Their leader was a man named Janez Janša. He had been a dissident during the communist era, a defense minister during the independence war, and now, he was prime minister. His government promised to modernize the country, cut red tape, and make Slovenia a true European success story. They were going to make things happen, and one of the first big things on their to-do list was upgrading the military. The plan was simple. The Slovenian armed forces needed new toys. Specifically, they needed new 8x8 wheeled armored personnel carriers. The old equipment, much of it from the Yugoslav era, was getting a bit vintage. To be a credible member of NATO, you can't show up to a mission in something that looks like it belongs in a museum. So, the government launched a massive procurement process to buy 135 state-of-the-art armored vehicles. This wasn't just any purchase, it was the single largest military procurement deal in Slovenia's history, worth a whopping 278 million euros. It was a big deal. A very, very big deal. This massive contract attracted bids from defense companies all over the world. It was a high-stakes competition. After a lengthy evaluation process, the Slovenian government announced its decision in December 2006. The winner was a company from Finland, called Patria, which would supply their AMV vehicles. On paper, everything looked professional and by the book. The government celebrated it as a major step forward for national security. But behind the scenes, something else was brewing. Something that smelled less like a successful military upgrade and more like a dumpster fire of corruption. And it was about to explode. Alright, so Slovenia has decided to buy these shiny new Finnish tanks. Fantastic. What could possibly go wrong? Well, everything. Absolutely everything. Just as the ink was drying on that 278 million euro contract, a Finnish journalist named Magnus Berglund dropped a bombshell. In September 2008, just weeks before Slovenia's election, Berglund aired a documentary on Finnish TV called The Truth About Patria. And that truth was incredibly messy. The documentary alleged Patria paid massive bribes to high-ranking Slovenian officials. We're talking millions of euros. The allegations were stunning. Patria allegedly used a network of middlemen and agents to funnel money to key decision-makers. The goal was simple: make sure their bid, not their competitors, won. The man at the center? Prime Minister Janez Janša. The documentary said bribes were promised to him. This was a direct accusation against the country's leader, broadcast across Europe. It was the political equivalent of rolling a hand grenade into the Prime Minister's office. The fallout was immediate. In Slovenia, the news hit like an earthquake. Opposition parties went ballistic. The media went into a frenzy. The public was suddenly confronting the possibility their government was rotten to the core. The scandal even got a nickname: Patria Gate. Key figures accused included senior officials from the Ministry of Defense, military officers. So, how did this all play out? Let's put it on a timeline, because watching a political scandal unfold is like watching a slow-motion car crash. It's horrifying, but you can't look away. It all starts in December 2006, when the Slovenian government, led by Janša, officially signs the contract with Patria. At this point, it's all smiles and handshakes. Fast forward to September 2008. The bombshell documentary airs in Finland, and the phrase Janez Janša becomes synonymous with bribery allegations just 3 weeks before a general election. The timing could not have been worse for him, or better for his opponents. As you might expect, Janša's party lost the 2008 election. It wasn't a landslide, but the cloud of corruption hanging over his head was enough to tip the scales. A new center-left government came to power. Meanwhile, criminal investigations were officially launched in Slovenia, Finland, Austria. Police started raiding homes and offices, seizing computers and documents. The legal machine, slow as it is, began to grind. For the next few years, the Patria case dominated headlines as prosecutors in 3 countries worked to build their cases against a long list of suspects. It was a legal and logistical nightmare. Then came the convictions. In 2013, a Slovenian court found Janez Jansa Anton Krkovic, Ivan Krnkovic, guilty of corruption-related charges. Jansa was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Think about that for a second. A former prime minister was sentenced to prison for taking bribes while in office. He briefly went to jail in 2014, which created a massive political spectacle, with his supporters protesting what they called a politically motivated witch hunt. It was a deeply polarizing moment for the country, splitting the public down the middle. But wait, there's more. This is where the story gets truly, fantastically frustrating. After all the drama, the trials and the jail time, the case fell apart. In 2015, Slovenia's constitutional court, the highest court in the land, unanimously annulled the convictions. They ruled that there wasn't enough direct evidence to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. And because so much time had passed, the statute of limitations expired, meaning the case couldn't be retried. So, after a decade of investigations and trials, everyone walked free. Legally, it was as if it never happened. While the Patria scandal was a masterclass in how to create a political firestorm, it wasn't the only controversy for the 2004-2008 government. Let's talk about money, specifically tax policy.